The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice. The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Thursday, June 26th. And today, you guys are going to love this. It's National Barcode Day today, you guys.
Yeah. Metric.
That's cute. That's cute, Jenny. Cute. You're cute. It's also National Coconut Day.
Yeah.
Everyone loves some coconuts, right?
No.
Haters.
I love coconuts.
Me too, Stone. I'm with you, Stone. I love coconuts too. Coconut milk, you know what I mean? It's great. It's also National Handshake Day, Dale.
Good handshake, man. Look them in the eye, shake their hand.
That's right.
Yeah. How do you milk a coconut, Jason? It doesn't have nipples.
You just got to drill a hole in it, Jenny Beth.
Well, this is getting dirty.
Is that considered a nipple?
I mean, you know, whatever you want to, however you want to consider, whatever you want to consider. You know what I'm saying? But
Free the nipple, right?
Yeah.
It's
I don't think it's. There we go, guys. There we go. Well, you guys, it's also National Bomb Pop Day.
Ooh.
Bomb pop. You don't remember those from the Ice Cream Man?
Who doesn't like a bomb pop?
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of them. I like the strawberry cheesecake things better, personally, but.
Those are good with a little crumble on the outside.
Yeah, bro. Those were so good. Yeah. It's also National Beautician's Day, Jenny Beth. Nothing to say.
Why is he looking at you, Jenny Beth? Huh?
Well, I mean, girls are the ones that go to beauticians.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
call them a barber. It's men, right? But they all do pretty much the same thing.
Oh, it's a very different thing. Very different.
Sit around and shoot the shit all day. Come on, man.
It's very different, Dale. Stop it. It's very different. You know what I mean? It's very different. You know, guys can get their haircut while standing up.
Really?
It's also National Chocolate Pudding Day today. Well, and thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.high9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of these platforms. And we are going to kick it off with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice-impaired individuals get their lives back on track after they may have been or may have not been victims of the track. That is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
I challenge you to a new intro next time, Jason.
Well, we'll work on that, Jenny. We'll work on that when you work on some things too.
Get the creative juices flowing, bud. Oh, I've been doing freshy intros. People have been getting all kinds of fucking hot fire from me, buddy. Throwing Middle Earth into Yarrows. Come on, it's just spitting. All right, speaking of throwing stuff on, Maryland marijuana sales tax jumps to 12% starting July 1st. Beginning next Tuesday, July 1st, Maryland's adult use cannabis tax is increasing from 9% to 12%. That's a 33% bump in the statewide tax, aimed at helping close the state's projected $3 billion budget shortfall. Oh, man, they still think they can fix their budgetary issues on our backs. Silly, silly Westmore. Between January and March 2025, Maryland collected over $17.5 million in cannabis tax revenue, funds that support community reinvestment, public health, and county budgets. With the 12% rate, officials project an additional $39 million for the general fund this fiscal year. Oh, the cops need a new car? Cool. The increase affects all recreational cannabis purchases across the state. However, medical cannabis remains untaxed under current Maryland policy. One win. So patients with state medical card will not pay the higher tax rate at checkout. I would suggest you become a medical patient. Why it matters. Budget boost. The increase is part of a broader fiscal strategy to shore up Maryland's finances and fund public services. Consumer impacts. Recreational users will see roughly 3% points added to their final bill, and medical card holders continue to benefit. That's Maryland's cannabis tax, now shifting to 12% as of July 1st. 12%. That is ridiculous. You guys, you can't fund your overspending and your bad budgetary policy with cannabis taxes. It doesn't work. What I predict, because I'm a wizard, or I've done this before, you're going to see a lot of operators dropping out and a lot of consumers running over and either getting their medical card or calling their cousin up the street because Bubba's probably got better weed than the dispensary anyways. But I'll throw it back to you guys.
Man, Jenny Beth, you're so right. And in Maryland, they could easily just drive to D.C. and self-certify. You know, it's not that far.
These people not watching what's going on around the country, it's dumbfounding to me, Jenny Beth, how these people making these rules don't call up somebody in California and go, how did you guys fuck up your industry? Oh, we just kept raising taxes. That's how.
Quickest way to kill your industry, that's for sure.
That's for sure. And it's, you know, just and to get zero participation, zero buy-in, people are like, yeah, what's the point? You know what I mean? America was built on revolting against taxes, and yet all these lawmakers want to keep on increasing taxes.
You know, it really does kind of drive that whole idea. Are these people living in a bubble? Because that's, you know, I mean, in some ways, it seems like it's cherry picked from state to state with things the governance thinks will work versus not, when the story's kind of already been written. I mean, does anybody here have maybe a better perspective as to why they do this and just imagine that they can do better than the reality of the situation so far? To me, it doesn't make any sense.
You know, you bring up a good point, Nate. You bring up a good point. And I think a lot of these lawmakers or whatnot don't live in reality. They live in the fact of, oh, you know what? Our numbers are so much less than other states when you look at it in the overall scope, and that's how they are able to justify these raises.
State lawmakers, really, if you want to make room for yourself to make money off cannabis tax, everybody get together and let's fucking fuck with 280E, because there's no room left for anybody to make anything.
Exactly.
Every time, in my experience, every time that, and you know, nobody has a perfect, mind you, but for instance, the deli style model that's in Michigan, I mean, how much with this hands-off approach, how much more perfect is that? How much more of the industry overall ends up finding value in going through now what is a looser, but albeit still regulated state structure? Like, hands off seems to be what drives people to winning. I mean, if I can see that, and this isn't even my job, right? Like, is there something I'm missing? Or I guess just the beyond reality just kind of kicks back over and over, right?
There's a prevailing mentality out there There's a prevailing mentality in the government out there that they can just continue to milk people to pay for whatever problem somebody might conceive of out there, rather than focusing on what are the big problems they got to deal with. Take the rest of the shit off the table. We cannot pay for every conceivable problem somebody can come up with. We're going to have a revolt. We already have revolts right now. And as you said, Jason, back to the end of the 7 Years' War, the Americans are going, fuck you, we ain't paying these taxes. Fuck you, we ain't going to do it. Here we are again. These are the mindset that the government needs to be involved in everybody's goddamn business. And, we can fix every problem and we can pay for everything. It's delusional. We can't do it. And then when you try to cut this shit back, everybody pulls their hair out. How could you let this happen or that happen? Well, what makes you think that the government can fix everybody's problem by taxing people to death and then wasting money every place you look? Every place you look, and there's no accountability in government. To want more money, the bucket they put money into is like a goddamn sieve. It just runs out everywhere. And then it's like, we're going to pull our hair. Let's just go tax some other industry. No. Black markets out there just laughing. What's wrong with you people?
They're doing more than laughing, Dale. They're counting all their money and not even taking it to the bank.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. And we're getting no tax revenues off it either.
Nope. No public benefit other than the fact that people are getting supply. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much the only public benefit. People being served.
There's a better way to do it. But then, people start tagging names on you about you're not empathetic, you don't care about people. If children are starving, we need to feed them. I don't have a problem with that.
Yep.
But a lot of the other things people want to do are superfluous.
Yep.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember when there really was bad things happen to people who were black, brown, gay, whatever, just women. There was really bad shit happening. It's not happening today. I'm not saying absolutely nobody ever does that shit. We fix the big problems. And we focus on Mary and Joe Dokes raising kids. How in the fuck do we make that possible? To have a place to live, to feed your kids, to have a job, to drive to work, whatever. Those are the core functions of government, not the other shit that you just keep looking around. They just want to keep funding. That's nuts.
All their pet projects, right?
Industry.
All their pet projects, right, Dale?
Yeah. California's got more than a few pet projects every place you look. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's asinine to me, but nonetheless, anything else anybody want to say on this?
I miss deli style.
I miss deli style too. I'm with you on that, Jenny Beth. And on that, we're gonna roll into our first commercial, and we are gonna be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Are back, you guys. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
Coming up next, the High at 9 head honcho, the shortest guy on the show, but the biggest guy when it comes to his personality.
So cute.
My best friend, Jason Beck.
Oh yeah, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday today. Well, a lot of people ask all about New York constantly, and so they want to know how much did cannabis use spike in New York after legalization? And we have some numbers. And I'm willing to say I don't think it really spiked I think they just started tracking it more and paying more attention to it. But nonetheless, I don't think a lot of people just all of a sudden, oh, it's legal, I'm going to start smoking weed now. I'm not buying a lot of that, but whatever. Because cannabis use among adult New Yorkers jumped nearly 16% in the first 2 years after adult use marijuana was legalized in 2021, as more than 2 million adults ages 18 and older reported using the drug, a new health survey has just found. The uptick in marijuana use by adult New Yorkers was even more pronounced when compared to pre-legalization, spiking about 24% between 2018 and 2023, and in that 18-plus age group, according to State Health Department report. Well, most of these people didn't want to snitch on themselves back then, so of course the numbers jumped. Jeez Louise, these guys. How many adult New Yorkers are using cannabis? Well, other findings of the Behavior Risk Factor Surveillance System survey included a total of 14.7% of adults ages 18 and older, or about 2.3 million New Yorkers, reported consuming cannabis within the past 30 days in 2023, up from 12.7% in 2021. And nearly 7% of that overall group of cannabis users in 2023, or about 1.1 million New Yorkers, reported using marijuana daily or near daily. And the most common method was smoking marijuana, with about 62% of users lighting up joints, blunts, or using bongs and pipes. Cannabis-infused food or drinks, and known as edibles, accounted for about 18% of users, while nearly 17% were using electronic vaporizing devices. And nearly 55% of adults using marijuana reported using the drug for non-medical reasons, while only 15% were using it solely for medical reasons. About 32% of adults aged 21 to 24 reported using cannabis within the past 30 days, and the highest rates of cannabis use among different age groups. Strikingly, the next highest usage rate was 24% among 18 to 20-year-olds, despite the fact that state law prohibits use under the age of 21. The survey, which was conducted by telephone through a federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention annual public health program, also reinforced some concerning trends about addictive behaviors among New Yorkers, it found. About 38% of marijuana users were also binge or heavy drinkers of alcohol. Nearly 20% of marijuana users had frequent mental distress, in quotation marks, meaning they reported problems with stress, depression, or emotions on the last 14 of the previous 30 days. And about 55% of marijuana users were also reporting that they were e-cigarette users, while 25% were tobacco smokers. And how you asking, how is New York monitoring its cannabis use? Well, New York health officials noted the survey provided a snapshot of adult cannabis consumption in New York. As scientific research continued to dig into the potential negative health effects of marijuana use, the research has focused in part on short and long-term effects of cannabis consumption, including the potential effects on the parts of the brain responsible for memory and reaction time, as well as impacts on the lungs if smoked or inhaled, health officials noted. But studies have also looked at cannabis use links to schizophrenia, particularly in individuals with a family history of serious mental illness, as well as potential cardiovascular health risks. The survey release comes after the USA Today network in April revealed cannabis-related emergency room visits in New York leaped nearly 57% in the initial 2 years after the state legalized adult use marijuana back in 2021. And state health officials urged New Yorkers who choose to consume cannabis to do so safely and responsibly. And State Health Commissioner Dr. James McDonald said in a statement, "Nothing that includes making sure any cannabis is safely stored and out of the reach of children and pets," he also added. He also says, "It is also critical to never drive after consuming cannabis," he added, directing New Yorkers to visit the health department website at health.ny.gov for further details about health and safety implications of marijuana use. And finally, what else do we know about New York marijuana users? Well, among the other cannabis use survey findings, about 36% of marijuana users reported being lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, and or intersex. By contrast, about 13% reported being heterosexual, straight, and cisgender. I think cisgender is a slur, but whatever. Of marijuana users, 17% reported being employed, while 16% reported being unemployed. Another 11% reported they were not in the labor force. And about 37% of marijuana users reported being multiracial, non-Hispanic, while 16% reported being black and non-Hispanic, and 16% reported being white, non-Hispanic. There were 11% reported as being Hispanic and 10% reported as being Asian, non-Hispanic, you guys. Well, that's a fascinating breakdown of what's going on in New York City, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about these numbers.
Speaking of Lucy's, New Yorkers are addicted to Lucy's.
Lucy is great. Shout out to Lucy.
Like, used to buy a single cigarette, you know?
Yeah, you're a blockhead, Charlie Brown.
Boyfriend pisses you off. You just want one. You don't want the whole pack. Now trying to start again.
Yep, exactly.
One of my favorite things, hands down, is smoking a joint, or ideally several dozen joints over the course of a trip in New York, and just I can smoke all over that city. It's fantastic to be at a restaurant, and if it's like a little sidewalk cafe, take 3 steps back and light up a joint between courses. That's, just fantastic. I really enjoy their approach to how cannabis is able to be consumed just like cigarettes. That even playing field is just absolute heaven to me. On the side of these surveys, though, that's interesting. I think you're right about how people are just being more honest. Yeah. Because the number of people who find like that disparity between people who consume for the sake of therapeutic reasons, health reasons versus recreational reasons. That's not long-term smoker speak right there. Long-term smoker speak, I can't tell the difference anymore. After well over half a lifetime of smoking cannabis, I can't really tell the difference between smoking because my stomach hurts a little bit and smoking because I'm under a lot of stress and just mentally it's a way to feel better, right? Like all of these things happen at once. All of these things blend together. If somebody asked me if I smoked recreationally or for health, I'm like, is there an option C? Por qué no los dos, right?
Yeah, I'm smoking because I smoke, like what it is. I don't understand why they included all this genderness in their, what people's sexual orientation is in the study. Like, I don't understand what that has anything to do with any of it.
Well, have you seen what's going on in New York right now, Jason?
I think that's the most dumbest shit ever to included that. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Jason, did you see who they have as their Democratic, who just won their Democratic?
Oh, the communist guy, the commie. Yeah, the commie. And they're already trying to say there was actually a story that that Celeb Stoner had put out saying how he's going to be their next mayor. And then when I clicked on the link, you guys, that page had already been taken down. It gave me an error message 404, and it said it had posted literally an hour ago.
Some of those numbers were interesting. Assuming I had free time to look into any study, I would be curious to look into this one further and find out how the study itself was circulated on the clinical aspect and how this was studied.
They called people on their phones. It said in the story. It said they called people on their phones.
What I mean is from what lists? They didn't start at A. Aronson, and just start working their way upwards. So there would have been a method to the madness. So they called, but from what list? That's just what I mean. Where was this information derived?
Well, I'm sure that they have one of the...
I would have answered the weed questions correctly, and then they started asking me all those stupid gender and sexual orientation questions. I had to fucking just started making things up, Jason. I'm going to channel you, and I'm going to be a 5'5" white man in my late 40s.
Right? That was my first thought, is who here decided to troll the hell out of them, right?
Yep. Exactly.
And I'm going to tell them that I prefer vaginal suppositories as my method of injection.
Conception. Yeah,
that would have been good. That would have been hysterical, Jenny Beth. Yeah.
And you know what? It's 2025, so they'd have been like, okay, right on.
Yeah, they'd have been like, oh, just even more the reason we need tampons in men's bathrooms.
Too far. But I do feel like, for some of these statistics, I'm wondering again, how these were derived, and if there was if really it was a phone survey that somebody could have just thought to themselves, yeah, fuck it, I'll tell these people whatever I want. Yeah, so that's not the most clinical approach that I would put out there, but it's still interesting to see what people came back with. I feel though like if you
the world we live in now, where a stranger can call you on the phone and you'll admit to using drugs,
or they'll lie about it.
Smoking pot anyway.
Yeah, somebody didn't see that coming.
What a world,
man.
Well, I remember 50 plus years ago in undergrad, we were studying criminal justice, and the number then was 8%. If 8% of your population was at any time using some drug or violating your prohibition, it was no longer enforceable. Now we're way past that, but we still have people thinking, oh, let's go out and start arresting people. Yep. I mean, I don't know that I put a lot of faith in these numbers, but they are clearly beyond the 8% I was taught what makes a prohibition unenforceable. And, it's like, when do you wake up and pay attention to the history that if you try to get people to stop doing something they want to do, you lose respect for law and order, and you end up desperately treating people. And, typically I don't get in trouble. Someone who is darker skinned than me gets in trouble historically. And it's like, when is someone going to get their head out of their ass and step back a little bit? I call it going to 30,000 feet and taking a look at what the population wants. Quit trying to tell them what to do. Ask them what the fuck they want. Try to make your laws comport to what your voters want. I mean, right now, I think the government doesn't give two shits what we want. And that's the big problem.
You're
telling just right now.
Exactly. The other part of this, Dale, too, is interesting. And you have kids and grandkids, and Jenny has kids and Stone has kids. Nate, I don't think you have any kids, do you? You do. You have one kid. Okay. I'm interested because it said, that they saw a big spike in the 18 to 20 group admitting that they consume cannabis. And so, yeah, I mean, I wonder, because I remember when I was a kid, we were never going to admit that we consume cannabis to anybody. You know what I mean? Even when we got caught smoking, we weren't admitting that we were smoking weed. So you know what I mean? What's happened in the shift with these kids to where they feel that they can just openly snitch on themselves and there is no actual consequences?
Well, because everything feels safe now, Jason. Back when we started smoking, when we started selling weed, shit was scary, and you had to actually worry about getting in real trouble. I mean, it was a beautiful day when I got in my mom's minivan after I smoked my first joint when I was, I think, 12. And she goes, "Oh my God!" And I thought I was about to get in trouble. She goes, "You smell like cigarettes." I was like,
I have another perspective too for you guys. Yeah, because 18 to 20-year-olds growing up, it's now been normalized for them. Imagine something, when. I've almost likened modern dispensaries to Nate, the old strip clubs.
Nate, but how many? Go ahead. You don't get the same. You don't see the same numbers with kids admitting to alcohol consumption. The same increases, and that's been normalized for a long time.
Normalized. Yeah, I think alcohol consumption is a little bit different there. It is.
No way.
I think it's looked upon differently by the, say, older teen communities, at least in the demographic that we're looking at. But maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I'm not buying it. I think alcohol is way more normalized than cannabis is in 99% of all households in America, let alone just New York.
But, you might be right. This is something I haven't studied, but not what was intuitive to me.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Jesse Barney, who just threw in a super chat who says, "I love Grandpa Dale so much."
Yeah. My grandkids sometimes don't share that sentiment because, I'm a trad dad and the answer is no. And the next answer is fuck no.
Yeah.
They don't always like to hear that from me.
Do you have a third answer? Is if you ask me again, then you're on restriction or you're going to your room?
No, I'm going to whoop your ass.
Oh, there we go. That's what I was looking for right there.
This shit, man.
Yep.
We're going to visit the woodshed.
Yeah.
I raised 3 sons, and those son of a bitch, I love them dearly. They're good human beings. But every one of them said, "Oh, here's a line, Dad. We're going to step over it." Yeah, fuck around and find out.
Back in your time, Dale.
My kid figured out that I won't spank him. I'm like, I'll beat your ass. He goes, and he giggled a little bit. I was like, excuse me? And he goes, Mom, you never beat my butt. And I'm like,
See, false promises. Lots of you got to follow.
Well,
through.
he's also 12 and can pick me up, like physically pick me up now. So we got problems.
Well,
that's why you beat his ass when he's 6.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't do that.
The good old Texas method.
Yeah, exactly.
Take off that flip flop and rearrange his ass.
Speaking of all of that, that was fun. We're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schaefer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet and nasty, and he's honest, and he's unconcerned with your opinion, public opinions, and generally everyone's opinion. And he will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right. It's your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office at the law office of none other than Dale Schaefer.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I want to congratulate Stone on his Lyndon Johnson hat today.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Looking good, right?
My story comes out of marijuana movement from yesterday. Kyle Yeager wrote this, and the headline's Rand Paul files bill to triple federal THC limit for hemp. House pursues crackdown on consumable cannabinoids. Now, we've been sort of following what the House is doing, and you get a new story basically every day about what they're going to try to do with hemp-derived cannabinoids. And I don't know what the answer is to that, but Rand Paul's once again introduced a bill to raise the THC level in hemp to 1%. Now, I'm personally in favor of this because it increases the number of cultivars that you can actually use. Because I've had hemp clients, and they're sweating bullets as they're watching the THC levels start to rise as you get close to harvest. And sometimes you got to take them early because the shit's beginning to get hot on you. And if it's 0.4%, it really doesn't matter because it ain't going to get you high if you smoke it. And some of the stuff's just absolutely ridiculous, the lines they drew here. And if you go back historically, back before they had steel ships, hemp was everywhere. And they weren't growing the shit that looks like what we grow today, trying to get CBD flower. This shit was 20 feet tall, had long fibers, okay? And if you're really trying to grow hemp, which traditionally was used to make, fiber products, seeds, seed oils, things like that, you need an increasing number of cultivars. But what we've done in this country is once we got the hemp bill passed, everyone went, oh shit, now we can grow this stuff. It looks just like weed. We can sell it sort of as weed light, and an industry just fucking took off, okay? I don't know if that was the original intent in the Farm Bill. And the Farm Bill's 2 years past due from being revised. And Jason doesn't like the term loophole, but
it's
THCA turned out to be a huge loophole here.
Stop it.
And I suspect they're going to, no, it's a fucking loophole. Come on.
Way.
Now, another one of the things that's in this bill is that they don't want to have to field test. They want to test the final product. So if you produce a product that's going to go out for consumption, that product should be at 1% or less THC, which should include THCA like California does. It's as soon as you heat it, it becomes THC. Stop playing that game with us. Now, if you're going to be traveling around with it as a hemp distributor, right now you carry a container full of test results and all kinds of shit, so they don't stop you and take your product because they're going to call it marijuana or cannabis and seize it from you. They're proposing that all you have to have with you is a copy of the hemp producer's license, and they leave you alone. If we stop thinking of hemp and cannabis as depleted uranium, I think you'd see some wisdom here. And even if somebody sneaks through a truckload of hot hemp or whatever, the world's not going to come to an end. So some of this stuff is just absolutely ridiculous that's being done to hemp right now. Now, we've been watching as the House is trying to wrap its hands around what to do with hemp-derived cannabinoids. And there's, we're going to see them